Hello everyone, welcome back to the Fish Room. Today I'm excited to announce something that many of you have been waiting for maybe 6 months. Over the last year or so, many of you have reached out to me to ask me, what exactly do I feed my critically endangered fish? And I've shared with you my husbandry, my own food products that I have made for me that I find best meets the nutritional needs of my fish. Many of you have asked me when I was going to make my foods available. Well, now's the time. So last weekend, I officially dropped the first 3 products of my product line. And I thought I would talk about them with you today. So the first product I'm going to talk about is my Omnivore Ultra. And a few of you have already tried this food in your fish rooms. And it's a food that I have specifically made for me. It's my recipe, and I have a company that is kind enough to make it for me. I get it made in limited batches, and I find it to be a little bit of a different flake. Now, before we go further, I should say is when I've talked to you folks before, I tell you I feed abundance of various nutritious foods, and I use a biodiverse diet, meaning I focus first on live foods, frozen foods, and if I'm going to work with a prepared food, I try my best to find the most minimally processed foods. So what I'm going to be offering to you folks first are 3 of my flake foods. Now these foods are minimally processed, but the nutritional needs, the nutrition and the ingredients in the food I find is quite superior. So the first food I thought I would talk to you about is my Omnivore Ultra. And again, some of you have already used this. I focus this food on omnivore fish. So it's made with quality ingredients. What I like about it is the crude pork protein is at 40, so it's at a minimum, but it's quality protein. But also, crude fiber is very high, which is needed in the nutritional health of our fish. I also add into this garlic, which boosts the immune system and aids in digestion, but also encourages the fish to eat. If you smell this food, you can just tell by the ingredients. I feed this to my omnivore fish a couple times weekly, along with frozen, live, and freeze-dried. I do a plethora of different foods to feed in my fish room. And some of my omnivore fish do eat green beans, and there's other products I use. So what I'm saying is I feed this a few times a week, predominantly when I'm really in a hurry in the morning to get to work and I have to feed my fish before. It's not something that I feed every day, but it is a quality food. But I generally recommend a varied diet. So this would be something I would feed a couple times a week. And this, again, is Omnivore Ultra. It can be found on my website, and I offer it in 3 sizes: 2 ounce, 4 ounce, and 1 ounce. The 4 ounce is a special order, which I'm happy to make. People just really like the food, and I feel very fortunate that I can offer it to you, and it's my recipe. So the next food I want to show you is not my recipe, but it is a quality food that I'm able to obtain that I want to pass on to you. And it's brine shrimp flake. Okay, Ed, what's so different about this flake? The protein level is at 45%. It's a high quality protein. What I should also tell you that all of my flake foods are a little thicker than what most of you may be accustomed to. Why is that important? Because how many of you are aware that feeding flake food, that if your fish are not eating that food immediately, within 30 seconds to 1 minute, all the nutritional value, the vitamins and minerals that have been fortified in that flake, leach out into the water. So if your fish are not eating that food immediately, you're essentially just feeding them food that's leaching and the minerals are leaching in the water. These flakes are a little thicker, so it takes longer for them to break down. But it has been my experience and the experience of the people that try my foods that your fish don't wait very long to finish it up. Let's get back to the brine shrimp flake. So the brine shrimp flake, 45% protein, all right? It also has a crude fiber of 3%. Now, why is that important? You're feeding these foods predominantly to predatory fish. Predatory fish don't require as much crude fiber. However, fiber is important in the diet. This is a good food to help with babies. I grind it when they're at a few weeks old and they can take flake. This is a good source for protein, which babies need at the time to grow. So this is also available. This is my brine shrimp flake. That's all it's called, brine shrimp flake. On my website, comes in 1 ounce, 2 ounce, and special order 4 ounce. And I've been feeding this food in my fish room for about 4 years. So up next is a food that I was very fortunate to find, and it's my spirulina flake. And those of you who say, okay, Ed, it's a spirulina flake. What's so special about this flake? One of the things I tell people when you're looking for a quality food, the first 5 ingredients in that food consist of 90% of what's in the bag. Take a look at some other brands of spirulina flake. They're not in the first 5 ingredients. There is actual spirulina, good bit of spirulina in this bag. That spirulina helps so many fish. It helps omnivore fish, helps with their colors naturally. But one of the things I talk about a lot, and people get a kick out of it, and it is funny that I focus on this, but I feel it's an important subject to discuss. If you're not feeding omnivore fish a good bit of vegetable matter in their diet, it can cause digestive issues, which in turn can cause constipation, bloat, and death. When you're feeding a product that has a high plant matter base, that's giving you the nutritional fiber they need. And spirulina is the fourth ingredient in this food. But another thing to remember is that the fiber is at 4%. So there's a decent amount of fiber, but you have a quality ingredient that is what the food's supposed to be. So that's what I thought was important with this flake, and I've been feeding this particular flake in my fish room for about 2 years now. And again, I will reiterate, I don't want to give the impression all I feed are flakes. I feed flakes when if I'm doing something in the fish room and then it's between meals, so to speak, I'll feed them a little something to carry them over, or I will use it when I'm in a hurry. Predominantly, I use live, frozen, freeze-dried. I do fresh vegetables, canned vegetables. I do, like I've said, a biodiverse diet. So although I think these are quality flakes, I wouldn't recommend feeding this as a staple. In my opinion, there's no such thing as a staple flake or food that you can just feed a fish all the time. You have to have that diversity. But as I've said, I have been feeding these foods for anywhere from 4 to 2 years. I'm getting great results in my fish room. So by request, I wanted to bring them to you and offer them to you so you can see how they fare in your fish room. If you're interested or have any questions, feel free to log on to my website, www.edsaquaticexotics.com. You'll go to the available fish food page. Now I do something a little different. I don't have a cart and you click a cart and it goes into a cart and it fills your order. I prefer not to do that. So what I like to do is give you that custom customer service. So I want to take your order. I want to find the best way to ship your product that's possible that can save you money in shipping. Because let's face it, shipping's getting a little expensive today. But also, I'm there to answer your questions. It's just my personal opinion. Customer service is becoming a dying art. And I like to have a rapport with folks. I like to answer questions. And I like to guide them through the process if I can. As I've said, I've fed these foods in my fish room for anywhere from 4 to 2 years, each product. I've gotten great results. What can I tell you? These foods are pretty much, for the most part, fully digestive compared to other foods that have fillers that really aren't nutrient dense for your fish, that cause an excess amount of waste in the water. I do get slight waste in my water, but it's more malm. I don't have a lot of, not to be crude or disgusting, I don't have a lot of fecal matter in my fish tanks because most of the foods I'm feeding are so biologically appropriate and accepted to digest that it doesn't create so much waste in my fish. That's what I like about these products. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I hope you'll try some of my foods. In the future, there will be a few more coming. Those of you who follow me know that I feed Scyphia nori, and I'm in the process of developing a nori flake that is not processed and it is naturally air dried, so you'll still get those living nutrients. That will be available in the near future. I'm also going to have, I'm shocked that I offer this in my fish room, but I have found that it really makes an impact. It is the only pellet I feed in my fish room. And it's a type of pellet that I had some say so in. It's earthworm pellet, and I use it to condition my cories. And I'll be offering that in the future. And there's a few other products that are in the making that will be out soon. So like I said, I was excited to share this with you today. I hope that you guys try it. I hope your fish enjoy it. One of the things I can tell you is you can feel confident that I will only bring to you what I feel is quality nutrition, because it is my reputation on the line for it. If you folks have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me through my website, through YouTube, and I'm also on Facebook. So I look forward to hearing from some of you, and if I can be of any assistance in what to guide you on what might be the best foods to feed your fish, I'm happy to help. That's why I'm here. I like to feel that that's what makes me a little different than some folks in the hobby. I actually want to help people succeed. I'm not focusing on just, here's your product, here's your fish, see you bye. I want you to be able to succeed. So this is part of my program that I'm happy to provide and share with you. So I hope you will try some of these foods, and I will be offering more and more diverseness in the future. So thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you for your time. And I wish you all well, and I will talk to you soon.